The Rams are seeking to trade Cooper Kupp, not Cooper Kupp actually requesting a trade. Were you shocked by this move, seeing how he just won a Super Bowl with the Rams a few years ago? Arguably the best wide receiver season, winning the Triple Crown, winning the Super Bowl MVP. Give me some of your thoughts on this, JV. I was kind of shocked to hear that Cooper Kupp had to come out and say that the team was requesting to trade him, and they were going to be immediately seeking a trade for the superstar wide receiver.
Yeah, that was crazy to me. I mean, when does that ever happen? Like self-reported trade. It was nuts. And maybe it's crazy to say, AJ, I don't know, but was Cooper Kupp's 2021 season an outlier in his career? Like he blew up. He had an incredible year for sure. And Cooper Kupp's very, very talented. But two things can be very true. Like he could have had a really good season, but maybe that's it. Maybe it was just one great season, and availability is the best ability when it comes to the NFL.
Two before that season. He was an amazing two, and Goff loved him.
Exactly. I think he was paired with Robert Woods at that time, who would have been
Bobby Trees, Brandon Cooks.
So they had a pretty solid thing going, and then Cooper Kupp was relied on, got Matthew Stafford, incredible arm. Okay, that's amazing. But I will say the second Puka arrived and Cooper Kupp had a few small injuries, it was just takeover. You could see that Puka was the guy Matthew Stafford was going to rely on most, who he was going to bank on most. The Super Bowl run was awesome, but again, I think what killed Cooper Kupp the most were his injuries. Availability is the best ability in the league, and I'm not. Look, I know it's crazy to say this guy had a great season, but that's in 2021. We can't live off the past. That's a few years ago, and now with LA, I mean, they didn't really use him at the end of the year. He had games, he had stretches with 0 receptions, 0 yards, and for LA, it's just unnecessary. You have plenty of receiver talent coming up every single year in the draft, in free agency. And for you to hold on to an older Cooper Kupp, it just doesn't make any sense. But listen, it could make a lot of sense for a few other teams that I had written down here really quickly, AJ, just to tell you.
Go for it, man.
I had the Cincinnati Bengals. I had the Denver Broncos. Dallas Cowboys, I thought it was unlikely, but I thought it'd be cool to put in there. And then the Steelers, I had asterisk. So I'll bring you back to the Bengals. I don't know if they'll go with T. Higgins, but I think Cooper Kupp would be an interesting fit because they have Jamar Chase, the true alpha. Maybe he'll flourish as the number 2. With Denver, I think Sean Payton wouldn't mind getting Bo Nix, another reliable guy. He's got Courtland Sutton, who's kind of emerging now back into that wide receiver 1 role, but they kind of need another guy to slot in there. Dallas, I mean, there's so many things wrong in Dallas, but to get a star like Cooper Kupp, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It'd be interesting to see how he fits into the offense with CeeDee. And then Pittsburgh, I've heard a lot of talk about Cooper Kupp to Pittsburgh. My problem is Russell Wilson prioritizes the fade ball. Mike Tomlin likes throwing it down the sidelines and running the ball. I don't know how well Cooper Kupp's going to fit into the offense. Russell Wilson's not an incredible intermediate thrower. He's not great across the middle. Justin Fields, it's the same story. And that's the issue with Pittsburgh. It's a quarterback problem. It is a mindset problem, I think, with Mike Tomlin. I've talked about it a lot. I think my prime spots would have been Cincy or Denver. And anywhere else that was mentioned, I just felt like they had slot receivers already. And it's tough to slot Cooper Kupp back into the slot when you got a guy. Like the Chargers with Ladd McConkey, I just don't see it happening. You already got a guy you can rely on.
Yeah, great points there. No question about it. Destiny says, do you think if Kirk gets cut, when Kirk gets cut, would the Raiders possibly pick him up? I do believe that they would. 100%. I think the Saints could possibly be in the running for it as well because you're talking about a veteran quarterback. The report did just come out that Kirk actually got hurt in Week 10 against the Saints in New Orleans. That was the start of their 4-game skid. Apparently, he hurt his shoulder. Falcons are going to take a rap for that, which is crazy for him to admit it. Not only to lie about it and keep it a question, but now admit it, and then possibly Kirk taking backlash as well. Yeah, I do think they could bring him in. Dwayne Marcus, that was actually on the show previously as the last guest, he was talking about how the Raiders could bring in Kirk Cousins. They just got Pete Carroll. They've got a ton of cap space to spend. And as much as people were pushing back on it, you can use Max Crosby as a trade partner. You might not want to, but if you're looking to take one player who is so loyal to that team, send him to a contender, do right by him, you know what I mean? But send him somewhere that's doable, and the haul that you could receive for Max Crosby, 100% Destiny. Very good. Very, very good points there. And I think we're going to be able to see that unfold. I'm actually going to have that as a topic on the show in the future about how the Raiders could really make a turnaround. I was shocked by this move as well, though, JV, but they do have a ton of young talent, and Cooper Kupp has been injury prone since the Super Bowl win. I hate to say that 2021 was kind of an outlier, but it really was, because when you go and take a look at his stats, rookie year, about 900 yards, 2018, a little under 600 yards. 2019 was when the Saints and the Rams went to the NFC title game. Cooper Kupp was really starting to get his wheels there. 10 touchdowns, 1,161 receptions, yards, 134 targets, 94 catches. Falls back a little bit the following year. And then in 2021, you bring in Matthew Stafford. He plays all 17 games, which was actually only the second time in his career that he had played every game in the season. 145 catches, 1,947 yards, 16 touchdowns. He wins the Triple Crown. He wins the Super Bowl MVP. But like you said, JV, how long can you live off of a 2021 stint when you take a look at, there is a Puka Nacua, there is a Demarcus Robinson, there is a Kyron Williams at running back. And, it's not that they've got enough talent, but when you have Puka come in and break the receptions record for a rookie, do what Justin Jefferson did, do what Jamar Chase did, but at a higher level, I know that the Rams don't, as much as they're immediately looking to seek a trade, which still shocks me, I don't think the Rams are too happy about this. But after 2021, in 2022, he played 9 games. And then in 23 and 24, he only played 12 games with a fall off of 1,100 yards, another fall off of a few yards then, and then another fall off of a few yards in 2024. So the stats just keep going down. The injuries just keep piling up. The number of games that he's actually able to be in. I mean, he missed half the season in 2022 after that immediate, pop off in 2021.
Right.
And the Rams had a horrible, horrible Super Bowl hangover. But if we're talking about best suitors, and real quick, the wide receiver room does seem a little bare outside of Puka, and it's not to say that there isn't good talent there, but I think they definitely have to draft a wide receiver this year. If we're talking about best suitors for Cooper Kupp, got quite a few teams here as well, so I'll just throw them at you guys. I think the Bills would be a solid one. Josh Allen, you have Amari Cooper in there, Matt Collins, Khalil Shakir, even Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid as well. I think you can insert Cooper Kupp into a good position in that offense. I know you said not the Chargers, but I'm not depending on, Quentin Johnston entirely too much. Now, I know his sophomore season was definitely better than his rookie season. He kind of cleaned up the drops. He was able to get into the end zone, I think about 800 yards and 8 touchdowns, which is great. But I think you insert Cooper Kupp in that. Now, yes, Ladd is in the slot, so that could throw some confrontation, not in a bad way in there, but just kind of some contradiction rather of the slot. Might not want to see that over in LA. The Broncos, I think, could be in play. You've got Cortland Sutton, you've got Marvin Mims, you put Cooper Kupp in there with a Bo Nix, who's looking to bud in his second year as a sophomore, had a great rookie season, a great coach in Sean Payton who calls the plays. So I think that could be a very solid one. The Ravens are a little iffy for me. Yes, there's Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman feels like he's kind of there one day, gone the next. Isaiah Likely seems like he's the new Mark Andrews in this offense. But I don't think if you're taking a look at Cooper Kupp for a reasonable price, I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, and the Ravens, could definitely use a little more receiving talent over there. I know they have a good bit, but when you talk about the experience of Cooper Kupp, I don't know if they would be able to necessarily turn away from it. The Steelers have a pretty bare wide receiver room as well. I don't think George Pickens will be with this team for much longer. Pratt Freiermuth is solid. I'm still waiting to see that explosion of Darnell Washington, who I felt like was the best tight end in the NFL draft that year. Washington Commanders, I think, would be very clutch as well. Scary Terry, Cooper Kupp, Diami Brown. You've got Zach Ertz, and then even Austin Eckler, who likes to line up in the slot or at least come out of the backfield on some different type of route trees. The Niners could also potentially be in play. Now, I don't think LA wants to see him go in division. That's going to be really hard for people to do after what Saquon Barkley just did. And again, when the Eagles win the Super Bowl, in-division trades with superstars might not ever happen again. Now, I'm not saying Cooper Kupp is a superstar because we're 4 years removed. He is a little injury prone, but that means he's probably going to take less money. He's going to be more open. He claims he's healthy as ever. He's motivated, highly motivated to go to the next team. And, the Rams are even saying that, they're him and his family are working with the Rams to find the right place to continue competing for championships. And again, he's very motivated and super healthy heading into his next season. Now, he said that, there was no doubt in his mind that he wanted to play in LA in 2025. He thought it was going to start and end with LA, but nonetheless, he's really going to be able to, provide value for the next team that he goes to, no doubt. He did sign that 3-year extension with LA, and now he's in the first year of it. So, the Rams will save about $20 million if they do a post June 1 designation for Cooper Kupp to get traded. If they just cut him straight up, they'll save $15 million in cash and about 7.52 against the salary cap. If they cut him without a post June 1 designation, they'll absorb $22 million in dead money and about $5 million of his roster bonus. I think they'll be able to somehow get back onto the team. Last few teams here, though, the Falcons, I think, could be in play. I think this would be a more reasonable trade for Atlanta. You've got Drake London. If you bring in Cooper Kupp, who can kind of fit in there in the slot, Kyle Pitts, if he's able to actually remember how to play football again at a high level, and then, of course, Bijan Robinson, who feels like he's lethal anywhere on the field. The Detroit Lions as well, if you're talking about Cooper Kupp with Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, Gibbs obviously out of the backfield is disgusting, and then we've got Sam Laporta as well. And the Packers really do need a star receiver, talking about Green Bay here, because when you look at their depth chart, you've got Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, a little bit of Dontavian Wicks, but it's not a whole lot to really be able to, take a look at. And it's not a star receiver, again, in Cooper Kupp, but he's really able to possibly make some things happen over there. And then the Chicago Bears. Give me 1 second, JV, if you don't mind. Sorry, I hear my puppy raising hell in the next room. I've just recently got a new dog on Friday, and they're both pretty young. I trust them together, but first show with them being out, I'm like, let me make sure that everything's going to be cool. But I can tell he's got to use the restroom, so my mom will be able to help me out. Appreciate her for sure. And then the Chicago Bears, I think it would be solid with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. You got Roma Dunze as well, who they did just bring in, and I think Cooper Kupp could be kind of scary considering what he's saying about his health. Ben Johnson at head coach, I think, could be an absolute home run here to reignite that offense, as they did just only win 5 games last year. And again, the veteran leadership of Cooper Kupp, I don't want to believe that 2021 was an outlier. Maybe it was just a year for the Rams. Maybe it was just a great year for Stafford. They finally pull it together. Cooper Kupp really emerges as that Randy Moss-esque type of receiver. No, I'm not saying he was jumping for jump balls, but when you talk about the type of season that he had, it's absolutely undeniable.
Hey, it's AJL here. Appreciate you sticking to the end of the video here on YouTube. You could have chose any other show, but you chose my video, and for that, I'm very grateful. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media. Hit the bell on the channel so you never miss a post. Check me out on all social media platforms. Right here, you'll find a chance to subscribe to the show, a related video, and a playlist. See you guys in the next one.